Okay, this is another part of my Destroying Lives for Jesus series. And this one is a bit of a doozy. And it's not really going to apply to all Christians or all religions, but it does have a huge problem, especially in the United States. And that is the church-state separation in relation to policies. What do I mean here? It's where religious organizations want to ignore rights and laws that say you can't discriminate, or that you have to have certain levels of certificate or knowledge to take a position. Because they want to be able to choose and they don't want the government interfering with their religion, we run into places like schools that have people with criminal records, abusive in the past, no sort of regulation to make sure they have the education training to actually do the job they're doing. Because the church or religious organization can just hire as they please. And the government can't actually do anything about it in some states. The government can't actually forcibly remove someone from a religious organization if they're doing harmful acts. There was a case a while back about a school for delinquents that a religious group had. And there was massive stories of abuse, of sexual abuse, physical abuse. And the state couldn't even investigate because that would be infringing upon their rights. And some of the laws there prevented the government from actually investigating and shutting down this place. And this is sort of the problem. These organizations don't have any sort of rules or anything. They don't have any rules that follow the government. We may have internal rules that they decide whether or not someone's fit, but those criteria don't always fall within proper criteria. And this, I think, creates a lot of problems. You see many cases of abuse in these schools, or people teaching subjects that they don't have the knowledge or ability to, or religious schools for handicapped and whatnot, where they're barely equipped to handle normal kids, let alone kids with learning disabilities, kids with behavioral problems. Heck, I have those things, and I don't think these schools would be qualified to teach me. So I'm not putting down these kids, I'm just pointing out that you need a certain level of education and ability to do certain things to put up with kids that are going to act out. And these schools don't have any form of actual regulation. We see this with all sorts of things. I've talked about this in the past. There seems to be this idea with a lot of Christians that if you have the love of Jesus in your heart and you believe in God, you can do anything. The problem is, this is sort of just automatically assumed. You don't actually have to show it. If you believe that God has given you the push and the drive to be a psychologist, to help people, a drug counselor, anti-gay therapy, whatever, you don't actually have to have the education because you've got God behind you, pushing you to do these things. And it creates these situations where people who aren't qualified think they're qualified to do something and then cause problems. I don't know. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts on this. This is a tricky one, because on one hand you don't want to get the government too ingrained in the church and deciding who can or cannot be in it, but at the same time you want some regulation. I think probably at best, the best way to do it is the church gets to decide who, or the organization gets to choose who they feel is qualified to be in an organization, but then the government has to verify that they actually have the qualifications. They can't say you have to have this atheist or Muslim or whatever, but the Christian that they choose has to be just as qualified to do the job there as they would in a secular society school. Just because it's Christian doesn't mean that they don't have to have the same requirements to teach. It doesn't suddenly become easier to teach because you're Christian. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts.